SMX Facts time. Boy, do we have things to break down. So to help us do it, we're bringing in our statistician, Clinton Fowler. We will talk about the time points, but first let's talk 250 East-West Showdown. What are you seeing when you look into this race in the past, Clinton?
Yeah, Wage, I look back at the all-time wins and an interesting list of 3 riders with 3 wins. You got Jeff Emig from the early 1990s, Kevin Windham from the late 1990s, and then a current rider, Adam Cincerulo, with 3 wins from 2017 through 2019. So kind of interesting to look at the list because I don't see is really the notable piece, which is some of the all-time greats there. The McGraths, the Stewarts, the Carmichaels. Some of that is obviously because they didn't race as many years in the small bike class, but I think this race is just pretty unique. And so JT, unique race, where do you rank this amongst all the other types of races that we have for these guys?
Yeah, it's a very different dynamic, right? You have, to me, it feels more like a Pro Motocross Championship race than it does Supercross because you're doubling the talent, right? And you throw in really tight championship points races as well. And then it just ups the ante for everything. I think you just have to be a little bit more perfect than you are at the other races. You can't come back from a poor start. You can't make any mistakes because you're going to be punished much more for them. So it will be interesting, I think, to look at, not necessarily in the points championship, but for a guy like Joe Shimoda, who has had a really tough time early laps, can he figure out a way to get up front? Because if he doesn't, he's not going to get back near the podium. He's going to end up 7th or 8th, and that's going to feel like a very, very poor result. So I just think you have to bring your A game to these showdown races much more than maybe you would on a normal weekend.
And to that end, we have a couple of maybe surprising, I'd say, guys in this current field that have won showdowns, and they're probably not the names that everyone would expect, Clinton.
Yeah, I was surprised by this looking it up. There's 2 riders that have previous East-West Showdown victories. Nate Thrasher at the final in Salt Lake City in 2022, and Max Anstey in the mud race of East Rutherford in 2023. So kind of guys, again, that you wouldn't expect or necessarily see there. It was Anstey's first ever win, pretty impressive. Both of these guys, maybe these guys are ones that get their second win. They could be the surprises, the ones that don't have pressure. Thrasher's 9th in the West region, Anstey's 7th in the East region. Thrasher's had a win in San Diego this year, so he shows that he has the capability. Anstey's got the speed. He's been fastest qualifier the last 3 rounds. He just hasn't put it together when we get to the main event. So these guys could show up and win it. What do you think, JT? Do these guys win it, or do we see one of these title contenders right now win it?
I think we're going to see one of the usual suspects get it done. The guys that have been at the front of the series, and you could argue that Max Anstey was there because remember, he was your points leader going into Birmingham where he had a mechanical failure there. But I do think it's going to be one of the Levi Kitchen, Hayden Deegan, one of the guys with the momentum. They've been getting the starts. They've been riding incredibly well. I think one of them will step up and grab this race and maybe the championship by the horns.
Okay, tune into next week's show. If a Shimoda or a Thrasher or Anstey win, we'll be hammering on JT on next week's show. Now let's go to the 450 class and the tie. I know you're thinking about this, Clinton.
Yeah, I mean, this to me brings back a couple of seasons that give me both scenarios of, does Jett Lawrence pull this out or does he not? So you go back to 1990, you got a rookie in Jeff Matasevich. He's got a 21-point lead over Jeff Stanton after 8 rounds. But he ultimately ends up losing the lead at round 15. He loses the title at round 17. And so there's that path that we could go with Cooper Webb having clawed his way back in. Or you've got 2017, where Eli Tomac is down 29 points to Ryan Dungey after round 6. He claws his way back, similar to the way that Cooper Webb has clawed his way back now. Eli has a 3-point lead after round 15 in Seattle. But ultimately, Ryan Dungey prevails. He wins the title. So, JT, what do you think we're looking at this year with Jett Lawrence, Cooper Webb, and Chase Sexton?
Well, I'd love to tell you this answer after Salt Lake, just so I can sound smarter and have the hindsight context there. But to me, I love the comparison of 2017 with Eli Tomac and Ryan Dungey because I felt like, Ryan was the elder statesman. It wasn't quite done yet, but you could see it on the horizon. I think similar to Cooper Webb, we don't know how much longer Coop's going to be around for. Then you have this upstart who's really just burgeoning into the prime of his career, and he's on the precipice of greatness, which was Eli Tomac, right? So it feels very much like that. Now, we don't know if history is going to repeat itself, where Tomac has this epic meltdown in New Jersey and Ryan Dungey, with the help of his teammate Marvin Musquin, rises to the occasion and gets it done. But those comparisons where situationally the speed difference between Tomac and Dungey, and then the age and experience difference too, it feels eerily similar to that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, JT. As we talked about in our podcast on Sunday night, Eli not getting that title when he was clearly the fastest guy, that haunted him for a long time. And he had to wear this tag of couldn't get it done under pressure and all these other things that I really think affected his demeanor for a while. So that's what's on the line here. Meanwhile, I would think, JT, if you're Cooper Webb, this is just house money. I mean, there's pressure because the title's on the line, but if he wins this, I think it's considered a bonus, not a loss if he doesn't get it.
Well, let's go back to last September. You can even go back to last summer in Pro Motocross Championship, but really, when he made the jump to Monster Yamaha Star Racing, we all said, okay, this is going to be Cooper Webb again. He's back where he wants to be. He's going to be happy again. And then the results were not there. He did not look good. He really wasn't even relevant. He goes to Paris in the offseason, no real change there. So I think if you offered him at any point during that time to be tied with 4 races to go in the 2024 Monster Energy Supercross Championship, he would do anything you asked to be in this situation. So yes, to your point, this is house money. He has to be over the moon about where he finds himself in this championship and the improvements he's made. So points be what they may, it really feels like Cooper Webb has all the momentum and all the sentiment gained in this situation. Doesn't mean he's going to win out, but if you had to choose a side or who's happier about being tied with 4 races left, it has to be Webb.
Clinton, I know that it's hard to put data together to extrapolate pressure, but I'm going to put pressure on you here. This is not part of what you originally wanted to talk about in this episode, but just mention lap times and what you saw in Foxborough. I don't know what it means going forward.
There's some good numbers on both sides of this. You had Cooper Webb, who gets fastest qualifier. We don't see that often from Cooper, so that was a surprise. He clearly was working on speed during the time off. He was also fastest in the main event, so great there. But Jett Lawrence was absolutely incredible in the second half of that main event. He was fastest in the last 7 laps. He was fastest in the last 9 and 12 laps. So clearly it was just a matter of being, sensitive and not making a mistake early in that main event when he had a bad start. But he had the speed. So who knows? Both of the guys had speed, and it just seems like we're in for a great battle for the remainder of the year, guys.
All right, we're out of time. We got to go. JT, I know you want to talk more about this. We got 3 hours this weekend on TV, everybody. Thanks for the data, Clinton. If you want to watch the show, 1:30 in the afternoon Eastern time on Saturday. That's Race Day Live on Peacock. We'll be racing at 7 o'clock Eastern time, Peacock.
Hi, folks. Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all, so go for it.